Greetings. If you're a regular listener, you're probably saying, "You're not Andrea." And you're right. I am not. I'm Ross Libby, Chief Value Officer here at Agile Sherpas. And you can think of me as another guide on the journey, joining Andrea along with her colleague Monica in future episodes. With that clarified, I have a question. When's the last time you looked at your team or the org chart overall and you thought, yep, that's exactly the right group of people doing exactly the right work in exactly the right way? Probably next to never and next to just left town. Why is this? Probably because most of us inherited a team structure. Nobody sat around and looked at it and designed it, especially not us. It's sort of amassed over time. A hire here, a reorg over there, a centralization someone stood behind back in 2019 that never got questioned again. And for the last several years, the big structural argument in marketing has been a cross-functional team or a center of excellence. Embed your people directly with the business or build a hub of specialists that serves everyone. People have strong opinions on this. I have a few opinions on this. But here's what I want to argue today. The fight, nobody won it. And it doesn't matter because it was never actually a fight you needed to win. Cross-functional and COE were solving for different strengths. And AI just made it possible to get both of them out of the same team at the same time. It's not cross-functional or COE anymore. It's cross-functional and COE. With the powers combined, cue Captain Planet. And it also means you need fewer slices of the pizza to get more of the pie. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Agile Marketing Edge, the first podcast dedicated to turning Agile theory into real-world marketing breakthroughs. I'm Ross Libby, Chief Value Officer at Agile Sherpas, and this week I'm your guide on this climb to smarter, faster, outcome-driven marketing. Today, we're going deep on the fight that never actually needed a winner, cross-functional teams versus centers of excellence, and the shifts that let the smartest teams stop choosing sides and start teaming up for the win. Let's name the fight honestly, because both sides have a real point, and that's exactly why nobody won it. We are squaring up in the who and the how of the Agile marketing operating system, because team structure isn't a nice to have design question when I have time, if I have time. No, it's at the core of the infrastructure. And I think most of us are still pounding away at it in a way that no longer makes sense, or maybe never really did. On the one hand, there's the cross-functional argument. Embed a team directly with the business unit or product line it serves. Writers, designers, analysts, maybe even a strategist, all in the room together, all accountable to the same outcome. The pitch is speed and context. Nobody's waiting on a ticket in someone else's queue. You are in control. On the other hand, and in the other corner, stands the center of excellence argument. Build a hub of specialists that serve the whole of the organization. One brand team, one analytics team, one content team. The pitch is depth and consistency. You don't reinvent your approach, your measurements across 5 different units, 5 different ways, you name it. Both of these are legitimate structures for solving real world of work problems, which is exactly why this debate never resolves in most organizations. People just keep swinging back and forth between them every few years. And I want to point to something from this year's State of Agile Marketing Report that shows how high the stakes are on getting this right. We asked marketers how confident they were that their team structure helps them get work done smoothly. Get this, 67% of Agile marketers said extremely or very confident. For the non-Agile marketing counterparts, only 61%. There's a gap there, and it's real. About 2 in 5 non-agile marketers are walking around without much confidence that their structure even works. But I want us to notice something that's behind this question and what it's actually measuring. It's not measuring cross-functional versus COE. It's measuring whether people believe their structure was an intentional decision at all for something that just happened to them. That's the deeper issue underneath this debate. Most teams haven't chosen a side, and they don't want to, or they possibly don't care, right? They've inherited whatever combination of speed and depth they happen to have. And when it doesn't work, we'll blame the model instead of asking whether anyone actually designed it for their situation in the first place, making it fit for purpose. So I want to do a reframe as we're starting off here. Cross-functional and COE, never actually opposites to pick between. They're two different strengths, right? Speed and context on the one side, depth and consistency on the other. And for years, the only answer to it was you had to trade one for the other, right? You couldn't have both. Not unless you had unlimited headcount that you couldn't just justify. And that's what started to make it a real fight. Right? There was things that caused the organization to debate and back and forth. Well, this stopped being true. AI, more on that in a moment. But first, who's hungry? You probably heard the 2-pizza rule. It was Amazon's old guidance. If a team can't be fed by 2 pizzas, it's too big. It's become shorthand in a lot of org design conversations, including those in marketing for keep teams small, nimble. There's real thinking behind it. Look at team topologies, the authors, Matthew Skelton and Manuel Pais. Their work, right? This builds a whole framework around team size and team boundaries. Marketing organizations have started borrowing from it, and it dives into this conversation we're talking about too of like what goes into a team in the dynamic. Something we're sitting with here for a second. That 2-pizza rule. It was not about how many people you need, how many specialists you need, or skills and all that. It was more about communication and the overhead. The math behind it is mechanical. For every person you add to a team, this adds more possible communication pathways between people. Not just one more, multiple. One more for everyone else that's on that team in that room. Small teams don't just move faster because they're small. They move faster because there are fewer lines of communication to maintain, fewer meetings required to keep everyone aligned, fewer places for a decision to get diluted on its way to being made. So the 2-pizza rule answers how many people can coordinate effectively, not how many skills do I need represented on my team. They're related, but they're not the same question. And marketing orgs and the design behind them has been treating them as if they were interchangeable. And that's a gap. Because if the answer to how many skills do I need in the room changes, if you suddenly need fewer people to cover the same range of expertise, then the whole calculation of what a right-sized team looks like changes with it. And that's exactly what's happening. So it's time to get concrete, right? This is not only theoretical. There are real life examples happening all around us. Let's look at, for example, MetLife Stadium, home to 2 NFL teams, pretty big ones at that, a packed calendar of concerts and other major events. Well, MetLife Stadium runs its entire marketing and communication operations with a 2-person team. You heard me right, 2 people, managing a subscriber list of nearly 800,000 fans, sending 30 to 40 email campaigns a year across ticket pre-sales, on sales, and event day logistics, serving not just as a marketing function, but partnering and connecting with other departments. HR uses their platform for onboarding, guest services for post-event surveys, partnerships for sponsor reporting, multiple departments, all connecting on a platform and marketing functioning as a lean 2-person team. And get this, their quarterly fan newsletter averages a 60.7% open rate. Those are exceptional numbers regardless, but look at their fan side list, 800,000, quite impressive. So let's look at what this 2-person team actually is structurally. It's embedded more directly with the business alongside it. right? Getting that same speed, same context, same accountability, the one you get with a cross-functional team. At the same time, they've got the depth and consistency you normally only get with a whole center of excellence. So you're getting design standards, analytical rigor, optimizational discipline. It's all built into the platform that's being run. Click mapping and send time analysis that used to require dedicated analysts. Drag and drop builders that doesn't need a designer and developer to run. Built-in AI features handling subject line optimization automatically, consistently on every single click. That's the combination here. Not a cross-functional beat COE out, not a COE got automated away. Two people getting the cross-functional speed and COE level depth out of the same small team. Because the system is working together and doing the job that used to require choosing one structure over the other or hiring enough people in hopes of having it both. This is why the old fight's over and why nobody actually won it. The trade-off that made you choose speed or depth and better centralized isn't a fixed trade-off anymore. With our powers combined, this two-person team gets what used to take two entire departments or more to deliver. And that's the change in how few slices of the pizza you actually need to feed it all. You don't need the whole pie or two anymore to get a bigger slice of what that pie used to deliver. Because the slice you do have can do double duty or more. All right. So the team, it's smaller, it's leaner, more concentrated. That does not mean it's unstructured. If anything, it means it needs to be more disciplined, not less, because there's less redundancy to absorb a bad decision or a misstep. I want to ground this in something real because I'm going to share a bit of a rhythm behind this. And I didn't just come up with it, didn't just write it on some whiteboard. I lived it. I learned this as a young grasshopper going through Target's Dojo. Yes, that's a real thing. It's not a martial art reference alone. I do have the samurai, though, sticky note holder to show for it. Anyway, a dojo is an immersive, hands-on coaching experience. You don't read about agility. You do the work differently for a stretch with a coach right by your side. I went through it as a team member first. Then I became one of the coaches guiding other teams through it. Here's the important part of today's conversation, too. It didn't stay confined to IT. It started there, sure, but over time, I found myself coaching more and more business side. These teams through this same rhythm I'm going to explain, including many, many marketing teams. Same coaching structure, wildly different day-to-day work. That's usually a good sign. You found something closer to a principle than simply a mere tactics. Okay. The rhythm I coach teams through every single time, and regardless of size and the department they came from, 4 questions in this order. First, why? Looking at the outcome. Before anything else, what are you actually trying to achieve? Not the activity, not the backlog, the outcome. I've watched teams argue for weeks about tools and structure when nobody in the room could actually articulate why in a simple sentence. If you can't do that, everything downstream is guesswork dressed up as some sort of strategy. Next question. The what, right? The people and the skills. Once the outcome's clear, who actually needs to be in the room to deliver it? Map to skills, not just job titles. I coached IT teams where this meant realizing they had 3 people doing overlapping work or a critical gap missing. I later coached the marketing teams through the exact same exercise and the pattern held. The org chart and the skills map are almost never the same document, and most teams have never actually compared them side by side. All right, with that, then we go to the how and the ways of working. This is where a lot of teams want to start, and it's exactly why I put it third. How you work, your rituals, your cadence, your ceremonies, your tooling only makes sense once you know why you're doing it and who's actually doing it. I've seen teams adopt a way of working wholesale from another team. skip the why and the what, and wonder, why didn't it stick? It didn't stick because it was never theirs to begin with. All right. Last but not least, when. Iterative, timely. The final question to consider, and the one teams skip fastest once the excitement of the first three wear off. Are you actually revisiting this? A dojo isn't a one-time event, right? The whole model is built on the idea that you keep coming back to the mat to get better. Same here. The rhythm isn't set and the structure, and then just move on, go about your way. It's a loop you're actually running to see what's working, what's not, and what you need to improve. I'll be honest, some of the biggest lessons from the coaching and that transition from IT to business teams, including marketing, wasn't that the framework needed changing. Fit for purpose, sure. Wholesale change, hardly. What changed was how much hand-holding people needed on the why question specifically. Technical teams were often more comfortable saying, I don't know why we're doing this, and saying it out loud. Business teams, marketing teams especially, they'd sometimes rush past the why and even the what to get to the how. Well, because we invented customer centricity and we were doing personas before product was part of the org chart and people's title. The how felt more productive to talk about. It wasn't. It just felt that way, or maybe just safer to divert attention away from an organization that was missing design and direction for its people. Well, I want to be really clear, though, in this conversation about something, because I don't want this episode to land as, go fire half your team. AI is here to do so much of the work and more. No. What's shrinking is the coverage problem. How many people you need physically present to cover a range of specialized execution. What's not shrinking, not even a little, is judgment, reasoning, wisdom. Someone still has to decide which outcome matters most this quarter. Someone still has to read a stakeholder relationship and know when to push back versus when to give in. Someone still has to make the call on what not to automate, because not every decision should get handed to a tool just because a tool is capable of making it efficiently, but maybe not effectively. The failure mode I'd actually worry about isn't teams getting too big. It's teams getting small without anyone deciding on purpose what the remaining humans are actually there to do. If your 2-person team is just as reactive and the fire drill driven as the 12-person team was, you haven't gotten any leaner. You've just gotten more fragile because now there's no redundancy left when something goes wrong. The slice is smaller. That judgment, reasoning, and wisdom required to run it, well, it just got more concentrated, not less important. Here's what I want you to do with this, in order, because the order matters. 1, name the actual outcome your current team structure is organized around. Not what your org chart says, the real one. If you can't name it in one sentence, that's your first problem, and it's not a headcount problem. 2, map skills against that outcome, not against existing job titles or the org chart. Where are you paying for redundant specialization that a platform or tool could absorb instead? Where are you at risk of being too lean and the redundancy benefits you? 3, pick one piece of the whole pie work, one thing you're currently throwing a full team at, and run it as a one or a few slice experiment this quarter. Not a transformation, an experiment, MVP. 4, build in a real review point before you scale the change. Proactive doesn't mean set and forget. Check whether the outcome, the skills matrix, and the work still match each other. In the age of AI, your LLM isn't the differentiating factor. Your people still are. And scaling still requires the people, process, data, and tech working together for sustained success. That is, unless your idea of sending a hallucination across a multi channel campaign is an idea of a good time. Until next time, I'm Ross Libby. And remember, the struggle is real, but so is Agile Marketing.